whatever time it is where you are, afternoon. Anyway, happy Sunday from where it is. And I just wanted to bring your attention to something other than the actual Bitcoin trading, which has obviously been great for people who had longs on Friday and even yesterday, people who longed the little move up. And then today, of course, so far, well, last I looked at it, it went down a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you about something that is quite different, maybe a little bit different than the usual topics I talk about. Still has to do with Bitcoin, though. Don't worry, Bitcoiners. Um, and that is the number of Bitcoins actually available on the markets. Okay, we see, if we look at things like CoinGlass, you can see that they show there's around like 2.4 million, 2.5 million Bitcoins on exchanges right now. Okay, there's like 800 something thousand on Coinbase, and then 600,000 or something on Binance, and the numbers drop off from there, right? Even FTX apparently has 0.9 Bitcoin on it. I don't know who's trading Bitcoin on FTX, but there you go. That's apparently a thing still. The point is that there is in fact a small number, right? 2.5 million is just over 10% of all the potential Bitcoin available that are currently held on exchanges. Right? That's, of the 21 million that will ever be mined, there is less than just over 10% currently on exchanges, and there's already more than 19 million, almost 20 million. There's like 19.7 million Bitcoins have been mined already. So we're talking like 12% or something like that of all the available Bitcoin in the world. Again, of which it's not available, but of all the Bitcoin ever mined so far to date, there's only like 12% available on exchanges, and they're not all available. What do I mean? Well, okay, if you remove the amount of people who've lost their keys, can't access their exchange anymore for some reason, they don't remember their password, computer got destroyed, who knows what, right? I know I'm talking about self-custody wallets. I'm just talking about the ones on exchanges, okay, that are technically, in theory, potentially available to trade if the holders of said Bitcoins were to actually put them up for sale, then in theory, yeah, there could be 2.4 million, but there isn't, right? Why? Well, because again, if you remove all the people who've lost access, that's already some portion of them. And you can think to yourself, well, how could they lose access? And especially if it's a centralized exchange, maybe they could have some other way to get their access. That isn't always possible, right? For example, somebody may have bought some coins a long time ago on an exchange, and then later the rules of that exchange changed, and those people, for whatever reason, no longer have access. Maybe their ID expired and they didn't get a new one, and maybe they passed away in the meantime, or maybe they passed away in the meantime even if their ID was valid, and they didn't give the information to their heirs. Maybe they got banned for using that exchange for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter what. Right? Maybe they just forgot they have it, right? And you think to yourself, that sounds crazy. Who would forget they own a bunch of Bitcoins? Well, if you bought it in like 2013, 2014, 2015, and you just bought it kind of randomly without being a Bitcoiner necessarily, you clicked on some ad, you bought something, 12 years later you don't remember you have it necessarily. These things happen, right? People get forgetful. People become forgetful. People become senile sometimes, or have dementia, or have other mental issues, or have just life issues going on, and they forget they're even holding any. That's entirely possible, right? And then, of course, there's the fact that there are governments holding their coins on exchanges, which, may sound crazy. Like, why would you put your Bitcoins, if you're a government, why would you put them on a centralized exchange? Well, the United States announced, not long ago, that they have hundreds of thousands of coins just on Coinbase, right? And they have many more coins, either that they're still self-custodying in different departments across the government, or that they put in different accounts on different exchanges that we may or may not even know about, right? So that's hundreds of thousands of coins right there, just on one exchange. And if you take into account all the other governments around the world that have some amount of coins, right, probably less than the United States has, but still significant amounts, some of them also hold some portions on exchanges for whatever reason, right? Maybe they hold it on Coinbase because it's a regulated exchange, relatively. It has to follow U.S. SEC rules because it's a publicly traded company. Or maybe they hold it on other exchanges that are regulated in their local jurisdictions. Or maybe they just hold it on other exchanges that they choose to hold it on for whatever reason. That doesn't necessarily mean they ever intend to sell them, right? If they hold them and they're theirs in perpetuity, they might just be holding them there for as long as they want. So when you actually remove the full amount of coins that are not really available, even though they're on exchanges, the number isn't 2.5 million, right? It's, in fact, considered to be less than 1 million. And what does that mean? Well, that means that actually there's less than like 5% of all the potentially available Bitcoin that's actually available. And even if you just count the number of potentially available Bitcoin, including only the ones that have actually been mined, still talking like 6 or 7%. So it is a very small number. And that means that people with significant means who actually want Bitcoin at this point need to pay a heck of a premium if they're going to buy anything more than a tiny, relative to the amount of coins available, to buy it from people who have different access, available coins on cold wallets, or wallets in general, that may or may not be available on commercial centralized exchanges. Anyway, that's it for now. Happy trading. See you.